live today. It's been pretty, funny. We go back and forth on being able to connect and not being able to connect. So um, it's exciting that we're able to go live today. So if you see the live video, Ryan and Leah are probably going to share it on their Facebook page too. Just put it in the comments or say hi or just like the post or anything, just so we know that you can see us and you can hear us all good. We would love, 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 love feedback. It's going to be pretty exciting today. All right. Let's see. So I am going to share with you today's topic. And today we are going to be talking about building brand visibility. I'm talking to Leanne Theron of 6 Degrees Video Productions and Ryan Laurie of Steady Studio today. And we're going to be pretty much focusing on building brand visibility through videos and through design and brand building. All right, and that's really exciting. So I'm going to tell you a little bit about Leanne and Ryan as we begin. All right, okay. So Leanne is one of the owners of 6 Degrees Productions. She helps her clients promote their businesses by creating videos and animations that people actually want to watch. How about that? She's been working in the production industry for the last 13 years, and she's worked as an editor, as a director, as an animator. She loves combining her passion for visual storytelling with business messaging to tell her clients stories and grow their businesses. How exciting is that? Hi, Leanne. Welcome today. Oh, Leanne, you're muted. You want to unmute yourself.
Thanks, Caroline. New mistake.
That's totally okay. Yeah. Okay. And then Ryan Laurie is here today. Ryan is a lifelong creative. He's an artist and a designer with over 20 years of industry experience. He attended the Capilano University, where he received a diploma in graphic design and illustration. Ryan was the creative director for North Vancouver-based footwear brand Soul, and he was responsible for all the public-facing touch points of the brand, including product development, packaging, print, online, marketing, and all that fun stuff. In 2016, he launched Steady Studio with his partner Rachel, and he currently lives in Coquitlam. And together with Rachel, he's been working closely with a variety of small businesses and entrepreneurs in the Tri-Cities and Lower Mainland, using his skills and expertise to help them grow their brands through thoughtful application of brand-focused design. Oh, that's it. That's a mouthful. I hope I did justice to
that. You did. Thank you.
Awesome. Welcome, Ryan. How are you both doing?
I'm doing great. I'm glad to be here. Thanks for putting these on.
Thank you. You're so welcome.
Thank you.
So you guys can go ahead and take a minute, and you can share the live video on your own timeline, so that we can get everyone kind of watching us today and having fun together. All right, it's gonna be pretty exciting. And while we do that, we're gonna dive right into questions. Today we kind of have quite a number of. This is very exciting, and everyone's kind of. Every business owner should actually be watching this. Whether you're watching the replay or the live, you probably need to just grab notes today, because this is going to be a lot of fun. With the crisis that we have on right now, with the global pandemic, of course, business shutting down and some still able to work. We want to be thinking about what we should be doing right now. We want to be thinking about the future as well. And kind of as a build up to yesterday's discussion, yesterday we talked a lot about marketing. Should we be marketing? How should we be marketing now? And since the answer is we should be marketing, there's the huge need to make sure that we are still on top of mind as far as our clients are concerned. We still need to make sure that we're visible to our clients, whether we're closed or whether we're still working, whatever that looks like for each of us. And also to make sure that once all of this is over, business can continue, whether that's as usual or whether that's with a new norm, whatever that may be. Okay, so let's build a foundation. Let's talk about brand building first. And Ryan, let's kind of start with you. Tell us what a brand is, and how do business owners know if they're building a brand, basically?
Right. Well, I say this all the time, but a brand is so much more than just a logo. I think a lot of people hear the word branding and they think, oh, that's my logo, or that's my slogan. And it is, of course, but there's so much more to that. the brand is how others perceive you and your business. So there's all sorts of different facets that go into building a strong and memorable brand that represents your business with authenticity. Design is a big part of it. It's also about writing and storytelling, and also at the foundation of that is self-knowledge and understanding who you are and who your business. So that's where we like to start when we build brands at Steady Studio, is getting to know our clients and their business as well, so that we can really tell their story in a way that engages with the public and helps them understand how how they want to be perceived by the audience. So
Yeah, and I love the fact that it's all about there's a tangible part, kind of like what you said. There's a tangible part, and then there's the intangible part. But kind of stressing on the idea that we're going to be talking about a lot today, which is building the visibility, which is what the part of it that's kind of tangible and that everyone kind of sees. And I love that we can approach it from the graphic design part and the video production part. So how does graphic design contribute to building a brand? And Leanne, I'll come to you also. How does using videos contribute to building a brand?
well, for Steady Studio, graphic design is the medium through which we express our clients' brands. So we're designers and artists and craftsmen, and we approach every project from that brand lens. So whether we're producing a brochure or a bus shelter ad or a trade show booth or a website or anything else, we're designing it. We're putting together photography, colors, type, illustration in a way that is visually impactful. But we also, at the foundation of everything, is making sure that we're being consistent with a business's brand and what their story is, and maintaining authenticity and consistency is crucial. If you're inconsistent with your branding, and one day your design looks a particular way and the next day it changes, then consumers and your target audience are going to have a really hard time building confidence and trust that they know who you are, and that your business is something that they can engage with in an emotional way.
That's right. And I believe that establishing that emotional connection is pretty important, because that's on the basis that most clients make purchasing decisions, right? So Leanne, how does video come into play with this?
So video is very much a part of the brand. Like when we approach video projects, we always very careful to make sure we represent our client's brand. So we speak with their tone of voice, we use language that they would, and then also use the design things like the right fonts, colors, and all of that, just so it's one cohesive thing. We very much believe that video needs to be an extension of a brand, which is why we try and encourage people to not make really like bad looking amateur home videos themselves and putting them on their social media, because then it's not consistent. Like what Ryan was saying is you have to have brand consistency across all your collateral, whether it's video, brochures, website, all of that stuff.
Awesome. Yeah. And talking about brand consistency with bringing in the right design, the right video, putting that with the right photography and all that, it's a question that I think our clients like to ask most times, because, well, they could just do it on their own, like DIYs, right? Do you guys think that the target market of like whatever business it is, do you think they can actually make out the difference between a professionally done videography, professionally done graphic design photography, or do you think they're not able to?
I'll jump right in.
Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, you being a photographer, if somebody's shooting their product in their kitchen on their phone versus in a properly lit studio with the correct lighting and backdrop, it's a world of difference. I mean, it's the same thing with video as well. If you're shooting on your phone, or if you've got a proper setup with all the correct lensing and lighting and, good quality audio equipment. And I think the same goes for you, Ryan. Like, and people are designing stuff in PowerPoint and like using it as logos, you can really see the difference.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
what do you think, Ryan?
I think in the short term, you might be able to get away with it once or twice. Maybe you could go to Fiverr and get them to shoot out a business card for you and save a few bucks. But I think over time, if the designer that you're working with or the videographer that you're working with doesn't have a true deep understanding of your brand and who your business is, over time that's going to degrade and the consistency is going to fade, and all the trust and loyalty that you've spent a lot of time and money building up is going to erode. So I think it's really important that when businesses are working with designers, videographers, consultants, anyone that they're trusting with their brand, it has to be absolutely understood what the brand voice is, that they're on board with it, and committed to representing it with consistency.
Absolutely, and I agree with you guys. I'm going to agree with anything like 100%, because now let's talk about the current crisis of everything that's going on now, and what the approach for businesses should be regarding with videography and design. Leanne, you take this away. What should we be looking at in terms of promoting whatever we have going on right now? What kinds of videos should businesses be using now whether to promote their offering, to nurture relationship with their clients, and all that stuff?
So there's kind of 3 different types. Excuse, I'm going to have a small human going behind me anytime second now.
Oh, fine. Your co-workers.
Yes. So there's 3 different kind of areas on this. The first that I would say is that if you are a business and you've had to pivot, and now all of a sudden you're changing the way you're offering your services, like if you're going virtual, whereas maybe you were a bricks and mortar shop before, videos are a great way to advertise what you're doing and get brand awareness out there, to try reach new customers, let them know that these are your services that you're offering through some sort of promo video. That's kind of similar to what we did for Vite Felice, which is a Medi-Spa. So they obviously had to close their physical store and are now doing virtual consultations online where they can put together custom skincare packages for their clients. So it was advertising those services. Another thing that we've been doing as well is also creating videos that can be sent out to existing customers, just to educate them on what your new processes are. Maybe you're social distancing, maybe you changing the way that you operate your business. And then the other type of thing we're actually busy working on a few videos is creating morale boosting videos for large organizations to help with internal communications. So like one of the projects we're working on, it's the Europe, Middle East, Africa region. So it's countries like Italy and Spain that have been really hit really hard. And like a lot of the staff at this business have been through a really bad time. So it's creating a really fun, uplifting, inspiring video with a positive message, showing like photos and video clips of all of them working at home and, still pulling together as a team, that kind of thing. There's a variety of different things you can do. Yeah. It's a big pick me up, really.
Yeah, absolutely. And Ryan, when it comes to graphic design, what should businesses be doing right now to promote, whether it's nurturing internal relationships, external relationships, or new offerings, whatever that might be?
Yeah, well, I think it's really important right now, even though there's a lot of fear in the air, that businesses, it's time to lean in and get really connected with your consumers, your clients, your target audience, I call it. Now more than ever, they need to know that you're still there, you're still operating in whatever format that takes. And it's important that communication not vary wildly from the tone of voice and the appearance that we had prior to the pandemic. We want to make our clients and our customers feel like your business is stable and secure, and it's there for them the same way that it ever was. Even if the medium has to change a little bit. If you're a personal trainer, you can't be in the same gym anymore, but you can still be connected over Zoom or another platform and get the training done and have as close connection as possible. So when it comes to design, it's still, I come back to consistency and making sure that whether you're putting social distancing dots on the floor of your shop, or if you've got signage, that again, it comes back to it's recognizable, which helps your memorability, and the messaging that you're putting across is gonna land and connect because it's authentic to your brand and your business.
Okay, guys, I like us to dwell a little bit on that word consistency. It's something that, as in our industries, 3 of us, we like to talk about building consistency a lot and why that is important. But what does consistency really look like? Is consistency about time? Is it about the visual, like the visual has to always look the same? Or is it that your messaging has to be a particular style? Leanne, you take it first from a video production perspective. What does consistency look like for a client's brand?
It's all of those things. Visually, everything needs to look the same. Like if you pick up a brochure and you watch a video, you need to know immediately that those are from the same brand and from the same company. And it's exactly that. It's the tone of voice. It's the style, the voiceover style in my case. Yeah, just the overall package just needs to be consistent throughout. And I especially think now with the COVID thing, that it's really important for brands to try and remain positive and try and like cut through all the fear that's going on, and just try and be a bit of a beacon of hope to people out there.
Absolutely. Ryan, what do you think? Looks like Ryan is frozen.
Ryan frozen. Okay, I'm sure he will be back. Oh, there you go. You're back.
Yeah, there you go.
Hello.
Yep.
Yeah, sorry, my connection's a little bit unstable here, but I believe you were asking about consistency.
Yes.
Is that right?
That's right.
It is all those things that you mentioned, like Leanne said, it's super important. And the reason it's important is that it affects your audience on a subconscious level. You know, you can still put a sign up in your storefront and get that message across, but if it looks vastly different, or you wrote it with a Jiffy marker and they're used to seeing high-end posters, then that's going to affect them either consciously, but especially subconsciously, that something's not right. And something's off, and maybe they start to worry about it or question if you're okay, if your business is okay. So I think it is really important to build that consistent, that puts the customer at ease. It builds trust. It builds loyalty. So we don't want to just throw away everything that we built up and start talking in a new tone of voice and you know, we're cutting budgets, so we're going to hand make all these signs. That's a mistake. That's going to hurt your brand. And once this all is behind us and we're into the new normal, that you're going to have a lot more work to do to make up the ground that you lost, making some perhaps poor decisions out of fear.
Absolutely. And Ryan, you touched on a very important topic, which I was gonna have us talk about. But since you touched on it, I'll say let's just dive right in. The budget question. Okay. In terms of marketing, well, yesterday we did establish that we should be marketing, and I know that some businesses are probably thinking it's time to cut all marketing budget. It's time to cut this. It's time to cut that. But and I get why that might be the issue here, all right, that budgets need to be cut and stuff like that. But what are the things that businesses must do, like even if they're going to cut budget with regards to either the graphic design part or the video production part? What are the things that you don't want to cut out, while you don't want to compromise, you know, while cutting your budget?
Well, I would say that of course, there's going to be some budget pullback there. The most important thing is don't just disappear. Don't go radio silent. If you don't have the budget to print 1,000 brochures, you probably have the budget to get some Facebook stuff built and get your message out that way at a much lower cost. Right. You know, maybe you can't go for the full scale rebrand right now, but we could focus on some smaller scale projects to keep the conversation and that connection going between you and your client base. The worst thing you could do is go silent. Well, maybe not the worst thing. I think maybe the handwritten signs and panic messaging might be worse. But you really don't want to go quiet and raise question marks in your consumer's mind. And on the other side of that, you also don't want to inundate them. Everybody's inbox is overflowing with COVID-19 messaging and how each business is dealing with it, and that's good on one level. But you also need to be cognizant of your target audience, and are they fatigued? Have they got enough emails? Is there another new creative way that we can maintain a connection and get our message out there?
Absolutely. And I love that you touch on brochures and online stuff now. I mean, everyone's kind of pretty much online. Like, that's what we can do. I was saying yesterday, like, I use an iPhone, and at the end of every week, iPhone sends you this thing and says your screen usage is up by, and I'm like, no, I don't want to see that. You guys need to stop sending that. But that's it, right? Everyone's kind of online, and that might be a good idea. So if you're going to cut budget, it could be a switch from doing brochures to doing more online design so that you're still putting out your messaging out there, you're still, you know, raising people's hopes, and you're still kind of, you know, at the back of their minds and making sure that they still remember that you exist, and if and when they need you, they can always come back to you. So with video production now, Leanne, what should we be looking at, and what are the things that we shouldn't, like, just not cut, you know?
Well, with the whole social distancing, the biggest component of video is cut because we actually can't go out and do any filming. But that doesn't mean that videos can't be made. So we've got a pretty full production schedule at the moment, creating videos from maybe some photos that a photographer took a year ago, and stock imagery, and taking stuff off websites, and just getting really creative and like putting all of these things together, and, you know, with voiceover and whatever to tell a story. So automatically, because we're not filming, you would be spending less on creating videos anyway. So now is actually a good time to do that. And I agree with you, Ryan. You shouldn't just fall off the face of earth because of COVID happened. Like, you still need to have some presence. Even if you don't have any budget for marketing, posting stuff yourself on Facebook is free. It doesn't, I mean, it just takes you a bit of time. Just have some sort of presence out there.
As long as those posts are consistent with your brand visual
As
design.
long as they're consistent with your brand.
As long as you're not grabbing chalk and writing. I think chalk is a new thing now, because you look on the street, everyone is writing new messages. Maybe that can be.
That is true.
Leanne, I like that you mentioned, you know, right now not going out to shoot, but then still having options of, you know, using some of your stock photos, stock footages, you know, and that, and I, you know, the other day I was thinking about it, that the best time to prepare for what's happening was years ago, but the next best time is now, and which is quite instructive for many businesses, as whether it's small businesses, big businesses. We tend to be reactive, right? We tend to react when things happen, but making the plans, you know, making the plans for, we never know what's going to happen. So that's why I believe that marketing is more of a long haul thing. So you just wake up and begin to think, oh, now it's the time to make this, but you know, you have it in your arsenal. So even if you don't have it right now, it doesn't mean that you still can't make stuff. And that's why we're talking about this today. There are still things that you can work with. There's still things that your designer can work with. Ryan, I'm sure there are things that you can work with to create absolutely awesome design for your clients right now. And kind of like what Leanne mentioned as well, to create the best thing. And then once this is all over, I believe that it's a good time also to start thinking about, okay, how do we prepare, you know, for a long-term marketing plan as well. And kind of going back on Leanne, what you said about not being able to go out and shoot now, but making videos. What kind of videos can people make? Like, what does that look like? Animations, or what can that look like?
It can look like a variety of different things. So, I mean, the most obvious one is animation, because that's creating something from nothing behind a computer. Then we're also doing promo videos, which is using a whole bunch of different things, stock photos, visuals, like whatever photos you might have of your own business. But one thing that we're busy doing now is we're actually almost done with putting together an ebook to teach our clients how to shoot decent video at home. And then they can hand that over to us, and then we can turn that into video. So there are ways and means of doing it without physically being present, like in someone else's space.
Awesome. Leanne, is that the same free guide that we're giving to people?
No, it's not done yet. It'll be ready in the next few days.
Yet?
Yeah, it's a different guide.
Okay, awesome. So Ryan, in your case, let's talk about branding, and, you know, where kind of like do's and don'ts, especially during this pandemic, right? Like, we're creating memorable branding, creating a memorable brand right now. What are the things that we need to kind of stay clear of in making sure that, you know, we're still creating a memorable brand?
Right. Well, I think it's the answer to that. We covered a lot of those kind of things just naturally in our discussion here, right? Being consistent with your visuals, consistent with your tone of voice, and consistent with your approach to your target audience. And I think the key to that is really making sure that you have a crystal clear idea of who you are, who your brand is, what's important to you, how you do business, how you make decisions. If that isn't clear for you, and you're not sure who you are, it's extremely difficult to be consistent. So it's a good time to sort of be introspective, know yourself, know your business, and then remain true to that value. Sorry, remain true to those values throughout this whole process. So you want to be consistent. You want to know yourself. You want to know your target market and what they're going through, so that you can communicate with them in a consistent way, in a way that expresses a message that they need to hear right now. So that's what you should do. And what you don't want to do is some things that we've already talked about. You don't want to be reactive. You don't want to, give in to fear and the slippery slope of projecting out into the future and worrying about things that haven't happened yet. We've got to focus on what you can do now and how you can stay positive and how you can keep and consistent, so that when this is all over, your target audience will see you as having carried yourself well through a difficult time. So I don't know if I lost you there a little bit, but
yeah, we lost you for a few seconds, but I think you kind of made up, and I don't think we really lost much of
we
what
got
you
it.
were saying. I think we pretty much got it. And just before we go back on that, I'm thinking, Leanne, well, since we do have a free download, by the way, that Leanne is sharing with everyone about making kid videos. But since we're talking about that, I felt that we could just share a little bit, a little bit of tips on people who are at home right now, self-isolating. Some people might want to DIY stuff and try their hands on things and see how that should go. Do you want to share a few tips on what they could be doing right now?
Sure. So if you're shooting on your phone or your DSLR camera at home, there's kind of three key things you need to get right to make it look more professional. So those three things are stability, lighting, and sound. So the first one is, if you are filming, especially if an interview with yourself or yourself talking on camera, you need to make sure that your phone is stable. So that could be putting it on a phone tripod if you have one, or a photography tripod if you have one. Not everyone has one of those lying around. Even if you take a pile of books and prop your phone up, just make sure it's completely stable. The second one is lighting. So you definitely want to make sure that you're well lit. So you can either go and shoot your interview next to a window, never shoot into a window, like never have a window behind you, because on a phone, that's just going to like burn out and look terrible, and it'll make you silhouetted. So use natural lighting, sit somewhere near a window. If you've got even something simple like a desk lamp, you can put like a desk lamp in front of you so it lights your face up. The third one is sound. So you really want to try to have good quality sound. If you can go onto Amazon and you can order a lapel mic that you can plug into your phone, which is directional, but that's not an option for everybody. So if you can't do that, just try and make sure that wherever you are, you're as close to your phone as possible, so it picks up the best quality audio. And if you do those three things, it'll take your video from looking really shaky, ugly, dark, Blair Witch Project-y to something that's a bit more presentable, a bit more professional.
And the fun part of that is that, I mean, apart from the sound part, all of that pretty much applies to taking good photos as well. Like making sure that you have good lighting, making sure that, I see this, and I don't know if you guys do this often. I see it, like people sitting down like in front of a window and just back in the window, and I'm like,
no.
You have all the light you need. You just need to turn it all the way around.
Turn it. Yeah, totally.
Yeah. So Ryan, any tips on what people could be doing right now with their graphic design? Just making sure that they're not messing up with their branding right now. But is there anything that they could probably be doing?
So in terms of DIY, when it comes to design,
yeah.
I don't recommend that generally, but I understand that during these times that might be a necessity. Maybe timelines are quick. Maybe the budget just isn't there at all. Hopefully, you've done your due diligence and you've invested in a solid brand identity to begin with. And if you've got a good rock solid brand identity, then you probably have a set of brand standard guidelines where all your colors, all your fonts, all the aspects of your brand are documented. So if you have one of those guidelines and you want to do some DIY design, I would really recommend that you go back and reference those guidelines and make sure that nothing you're doing is violating any of them. Those guideline booklets are put together with a lot of thought and a lot of care for that very reason, because it's so important to not just start switching fonts up and changing colors that's going to tank your consistency and affect the target audience's ability to trust you ultimately. So if you're going to do DIY design, I would say keep it simple, follow the guidelines, and stay on brand.
And absolutely. And I love that you say that, which also takes us back to that part of preparation. Like, you want to have the foundation done. And this is something that can still be done right now. And so it doesn't mean, for example, Ryan, you would still work with clients building their brand right now, even through the pandemic, right?
Yeah. Yep, definitely.
Yeah. So you could like have the foundation and then every other thing could build on it. We have a question from Facebook, from Melissa. Melissa says, and I think this is to Leon. She says, if you're using your iPhone, should it always be vertical or horizontal orientation?
So that's a really good question. The things are changing a lot. So it used to be always wanting it landscape, always wanting it widescreen, but you need to consider where your video is going to be played. Nowadays, that's not the case. So if you're going to do, for example, a Snapchat or an Instagram story, it's portrait. So you really need to make these decisions beforehand. The general rules of thumb, though: YouTube, widescreen; Facebook can be widescreen or square; Instagram, square or widescreen if it's a regular post; stories or portrait. So you just need to make sure you know which platform it's going to.
And is there any magical way of switching a horizontal video to vertical?
It is quite tricky. So we usually would shoot for the one. So you can do widescreen and square in the same shot. Like if you saw the picture of me now and you chop the sides and make it a square, that's easy enough to do. But when you start making things portrait, the framing gets all off. So I would say you would shoot two versions, one for each aspect ratio. Unless you're filming in 4K and you can shoot a really wide shot and you have the ability to crop in the correct aspect ratio, but that gets all technical and stuff. So rather just shoot it the right way for the platform that you're going to.
Okay, awesome. And so let's take a dive from, okay, yep, that's fine. Melissa says thank you. Let's take a dive from talking about this now and talking about kind of more like an inspirational part of maybe what the way that clients should be thinking. I want you guys to talk about your favorite brands, brands that you recognize that are doing absolutely like some of the things that we've talked about today and could serve as an inspiration for business owners. Have you guys come across any of those brands, or Ryan, do you want to talk to that?
Well, sure. I mean, there's the same old brands that everybody talks about when they talk about good examples, as Apple and Lululemon and businesses like that really have it figured out and have their organization built around a solid brand identity. One that I've noticed recently is Warby Parker. They've been around for a while. They make glasses. Their visuals are very good. They have a great story. It's very consistent. They've got a give back program built in to the fabric of their business. So all those aspects really sort of weave together and have built a really strong brand. They come in, they do business differently. They're upfront about that. Their ads are different. The way they talk about themselves is different. So they're sort of one that I've been thinking about recently that are doing a really good job. I don't know, Lee, why don't you go ahead?
Yeah. To be honest with you, I'm going to rather let you feel that, Ryan.
But you know, Leanne, I was thinking about some of the works, some of your recent projects, and I think that those are really good examples of what how brands should be using video right now, and brands that are really communicating. You mentioned actually Vita Felice, the one you did for them, talking about how things have changed and how they're offering virtual consultations. I also saw one you did for ProRise Painting as well, so talking about we are still able to work with social distancing measures in place and stuff like that. Can you talk a little bit to some of that, Leanne?
Okay, so the painting one specifically was created because a lot of existing clients were really concerned. They were wanting to get their houses painted, but they were worried about safety and all the social distancing guidelines. So the idea of that was to create a video to show the step-by-step process of how they're adhering to all of these social distancing guidelines and how their process has changed. And I do believe that it has helped close some sales since the video has gone out there, and it's only been out for about a week. So that's an example of how you can assure your existing clients that you are still operating and you're operating safely and they can still trust you, and just to kind of overcome some of that fear that's going on at the moment. And I think there are a lot of businesses that have got a lot of fear. I know like a lot of restaurants and like small like mom and pop stores. People are worried to go to these places because they're like, am I going to get, pick up the virus in my package or in my food? So I think it's important to communicate these messages out there and assure your customers that everything's going to be okay. We're still operating, it's all safe, we're disinfecting, all of that.
Right. Absolutely. Okay, so let's talk about the future. This is going to be over.
Who knows?
Yeah. This is going to be over, and hopefully things are going to get back to normal, whatever the new normal is for us. But our businesses are going to be able to, function again as they were. We're going to be able to hopefully go to restaurants again. Let's talk about what we should be doing to prepare for that, where graphic design is concerned, where video production is concerned. How should how should businesses be looking at producing for the next phase of, their marketing, for the next phase of when all of this is done, all of this is over? How should we be planning, and what can we be doing now for that phase? Okay. Who wants to take it?
Okay, I'll go.
Okay.
So I think it's very important to still be focusing on building your brand awareness. Even if you're a business that's not 100% operational right now and you're not like, your restaurant's not open or whatever it is, you need to know that as soon as restrictions come down and everyone goes out there, you must be at the top of mind. It must be the first place that they think of. So I still think it's very important to carry on with all your brand building exercises, your content marketing on social media, videos, whatever it is that you're putting out there.
Absolutely. And Ran?
Yeah, I totally agree that you got to make sure you're still top of mind. You haven't disappeared. If you own a restaurant, you're talking about takeout, and then laying that foundation for when things get back to some version of normal. They know you're still there. You didn't go away during this time period. But it really depends so much on the type of business and the type of consumer that you're used to connecting with. If you're a jewelry store or someone that is selling what could be thought of as luxury items, now's not the time to be pushing on that. I think for brands that are in that category, you should be trying to find ways to express how your brand is helping the situation. I think of a brand like Tesla, where of course they have this beautiful product, high-end, high price tag, but all the stories that you hear in the news right now are about how they've committed their factories to building ventilators. And that's on brand for them with technology. And when this is all over, they'll have raised their reputation up more because they helped. They took their luxury, they're perceived as having a lot of money, and people that buy them have a lot of money. And they took those resources and they funneled them into the greater good and helping people. And I think that's something that depending on the kind of business you have, it's important to think about that. And maybe now's not the time to be selling giant diamond encrusted brooches, but if you can be seen, donating to COVID relief funds or helping people that don't have access to things they need, getting access to those things, that's going to help your brand when things get back to normal.
Absolutely. And just as a final question here before we wrap it up, and Leanne, this is for you, and this is for those who are thinking of creating content, videos at home, kind of like what we've talked about, whether it's for now or for the future. Do you have any tips on how to put all that content together in their video?
So you're speaking about content, like how to tell a story within a video?
Yeah, maybe. I mean, if that's what it is, right?
Okay. So, I mean, it depends what you're doing. So if you want to start producing content because you've got some time now to do it, if you're going to embark on a content marketing campaign, that's where you would release regular content over a period of time. So say maybe one video a week over 8 weeks. It's important to figure out who your audience is and what their passion points and interests are. So great types of videos are to engage with them on what they love doing. So maybe you've got a brand and creating a how-to video around something would engage them. So putting together more documentary branded filming to keep them entertained, amused, occupied while we're going through this COVID-19 thing, I think would be a good thing. But if you're just purely wanting to do a brand awareness piece and create a promo video, there is a pretty quick, easy storytelling framework that you can do to create a video. It's called the HIT framework. So you've got your hook for the H, information for the I, and then T is tell them. So with your video, you'd want to start with a hook, and that's usually you want to highlight a pain point or a problem that your ideal customer might be having off the bat, so you get their attention. Right after that, speak about how you solve that problem. Throw in like 2 or 3 key benefits of that product, of your product or service, and how it solves that problem. And then you end with the call to action, which is the tell them. So click here, buy now, subscribe to my channel, whatever it is. I hope that answers your question.
It does. And I just want to say that the HIT framework that you mentioned is actually in the free download, in the ebook that you've given for free for people to download. So if you're wanting to create content for yourself, whether that's video or, you know, whatever that marketing piece is, for people that are viewing us on Facebook Live right now, I'll just say, just write in the comment that you're interested in that free download. What I also did is I added an extra ebook to it. It's called the 30 ways that you can use your personal corporate brand photography. You want to also put that in the comment and let us know that you're interested, and we'll find a way to get it to you. For everyone that kind of registered for the Talk to the Expert series, the entire series, they will get those in their inbox after this is all good. So guys, let's kind of round this up a little bit here. What are like action steps that we should be looking at, or kind of like, I like to say, parting words that business owners should be taking off? Okay. Sorry, I was just distracted by someone who was interested in that. It's so hard looking at Facebook and trying to keep everyone
multitasking.
You're doing a great job, Caroline.
Yeah, you're amazing.
Okay, so let's you know, what would we want our clients to be doing right now? Like, what are action steps that they can be doing, and how can we help them if they run into I don't know. Just you guys take it away.
Well, I would say don't give in to fear. That's the easiest thing in the world to do. It can feel like the sky is falling, but we're gonna make it through this. You know, we've built a community here between different businesses and between your clients and your customers. Keep that communication going. Be consistent with your visuals, with your messaging. If you have to change the way you do business, make sure that you do that business in a new way, but it's still consistent with the old values, so that people might have to interact with you in a new way, but they still recognize you, they still trust you, they understand what's going on. And that's about being consistent and keeping the communication going, and just staying on brand. That's just all I would say. Stay on brand. Know your brand and stay on it.
Thank you so much, Ryan. What about you, Leah?
I mean, I agree with Ryan, but it's just about, I think, just staying positive and staying focused and not getting too caught up in all the fear mongering and the misinformation that's out there. Focus on your business, focus on your goal. Now, if you might have some extra time, some people do, some people don't, but if you've got extra time, now you can start thinking about your marketing plan and put together some content, marketing ideas that you have, and put a plan in action, so that when this whole thing lifts, you've got this whole, maybe a year's supply of content that you put into your marketing campaign or whatever it is. So yeah, just be positive.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, guys. So today I've been talking to Lynn Theron of 6 Degrees Production, and I've also been talking to Ryan Laurie of Steady Studio. Ryan is a graphic designer, and I like it when Ryan says graphic design is our craft, brand building is our I missed that part.
Building brands is what we do. Graphic design is the craft that we employ to do it.
That's it. Okay, so like I said, there will be that free guide to making kid videos. And if you're interested, send me a message, and there will also be 30 ways to use your personal corporate brand photography. I'd also like to mention that if you feel stuck with your brand, whether it's building new designs for online marketing at this point, Ryan, you do offer like a complimentary consultation, right? Like a phone consult, not an in-person consult right now, right? Is that
No,
right?
we can't do in-person, even though that's my most favorite way of interacting with people. So this is getting used to a new medium and finding ways to connect through the screen. But absolutely, if anybody wants to reach out to me at Steady Studio, I'd be more than happy to sit down over Zoom and discuss your brand, help you come up with fresh ideas on how to connect with your consumers, and make sure that you really understand yourself, your brand, your business, and the people that you're talking to and connecting with.
Awesome. And what's the best way to reach you guys both? I think I'll just put one of the things I'll do. I'm thinking I'll put your contact information in the comments, but what's the best way to reach you both?
You can reach me. Our phone number is 778-877-4699, or you can email me directly at ryan@steadystudio.ca, or you can check out our website at steadystudio.ca.
Yeah, if you just go to 6degreesproductions.ca, all my contact details are there.
Awesome. Thank you so much, guys, for coming. It's been very exciting talking to you about building brands. And I hope that as business owners, we have been able to learn one or two action points that we can take and run with. One of the major things that I love that you guys touched on today is not giving in to the fear and being that beacon of hope for our clients, because people need that hope. And wherever that's coming from right now, wherever people are able to get, that hope to hang on to, they will not forget. And that's one of the things that make us memorable. So it's way beyond offerings, what we sell to our clients. It's also the community. And Ryan mentioned that the community that we're building through our businesses. And for most of us, that's why we do business in the first place. It's way beyond just making money. It's what we're able to offer to our clients and how we're able to make their lives better. All right, this has been exciting, guys. Anything you want to say before I go off air?
Thank you. Thanks for bringing us on the show. It was really fun to have a chat with you guys, both of you.
Thank you, Leanne.
Thanks for having us.
All right, thank you, guys, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.